18 years. That's how long I'd built his empire, blueprint by blueprint, late night by late night. And in the end, he dismissed me with a smirk. "We can get 3 junior engineers for your salary. Nothing personal, just cost cutting." It was personal. He just didn't know how much. Before the knife in my back. When I first met Howard, the company was nothing more than a rented warehouse and an underpowered coffee machine. He was ambitious, charming in that slippery way some salesmen are, but hopeless with the technical side. I was the first real engineer he'd hired. I stayed through the lean years, building systems, leading projects, putting out fires that would have bankrupted him 10 times over. He liked to say, "You're the brain, I'm the mouth." I thought it was a partnership. Turns out, I was just an expensive part to be replaced. The first warning. I noticed it 3 months before the firing. Budgets cut without warning. Projects reassigned to new talent. Kids barely out of college, bright-eyed and cheap. My access to certain meetings slipped through the cracks. Then came the audit of my department. Not for performance, for cost. Howard avoided my eyes in the hallway. That was when I knew the knife was already halfway in. The termination. The meeting lasted 6 minutes. He had my severance paperwork printed before I sat down. "Nothing personal," he said again, as if rehearsed. "You've done great work, but we have to think about the bottom line." I nodded, packed my desk in silence. I shook hands with people I'd mentored for years and walked out without looking back. But walking away wasn't the same as letting go. The switch in my head. Howard thought he'd taken my power when he took my job, but the truth? He'd handed me a weapon. 18 years had given me more than a title. I knew every project, every client, every flaw in the machine he called a business. And unlike Howard, I understood how all the pieces fit and how to take them apart. So I smiled, signed the severance, and started making calls. Step 1. The quiet gathering. I reached out to 3 former colleagues. Once Howard had cost cut before me. They'd moved on to good positions at competitor firms. I didn't ask them to do anything illegal. I just asked questions. Who was hiring? Who needed a complete engineering team ready to deliver high-profile projects immediately? The answer came within 2 weeks, a rival company expanding aggressively. The CEO remembered my name from industry conferences. He asked if I could bring people. I said yes, and I can bring clients too. Step 2. The hollowing out. Howard didn't just cut my position, he'd stacked the company with juniors who relied on my processes. Processes I'd designed, documented, and quietly kept updated in my personal files. When I left, I took the most recent versions. What Howard had left was 6 months out of date. Without those updates, deadlines would start slipping. Step 3. The client migration. I'd been the face of every major technical pitch for years. Clients trusted me, not Howard. I invited a few key ones for catch-up lunches. I never badmouthed him. I didn't have to. I just listened, nodded sympathetically when they complained about the sudden drop in service quality, and mentioned, offhand, that my new team could take them on immediately. One by one, they shifted over. Quietly, contractually clean, no lawsuits. The day the panic calls began. It was a Friday, 9:12 a.m. when my phone lit up with his name. By then, 3 of his biggest accounts had terminated. 2 engineers had resigned, both now sitting in my new office. And a 4th client was reviewing options. I let it go to voicemail. The next call came 20 minutes later, then another. By noon, I had 9 missed calls and 4 texts. "We need to talk. I think we can work something out. Call me, urgent." I didn't reply. The confrontation. On Monday, I finally answered. His voice was sharp, brittle. "You're poaching my clients." "No," I said. "Your clients are choosing competent service over cheap replacements. You think you can just—" "I don't, Howard. I know. You fired the one person who understood how this company runs. You made it personal when you made me disposable. He tried to pivot, to dangle some kind of consulting role. I cut him off. You can't afford me, I said, and hung up. The collapse. Over the next month, I watched from a distance as the machine started to seize. Missed deadlines, public complaints, staff turnover climbing. The juniors were good kids, but without leadership, they were drowning. Howard, ever the salesman, tried to plug the leaks himself. The market noticed. By the end of the quarter, his company had lost nearly 40% of its revenue base. Reflection. Some people think revenge is about rage. It's not.